Am I the asshole for intentionally pouring wine over the bride's wedding gown? Hear me out before you blindly say yes. So 2 weeks ago, my 31 female BFF Katie, 32 female, got married to Matt, 35 male. I was the maid of honor and was very involved in the wedding planning. I loved Katie to death and took my duties as maid of honor very seriously. I did my best to make sure Katie had the wedding of her dreams, but the thing is, Katie thinks her wedding was ruined because of me. Katie, for her wedding day, chose one of the 2-in-1 gowns that switches between being a massive tulle ball gown for the wedding and a slinky tight mermaid gown for the reception because it had a detachable tulle skirt layer. Katie is a very showy and extra person, something that I adore about her, so she decided that during the reception she'd step out of her detachable tulle skirt and reveal the underlying mermaid gown in a dramatic fashion in front of the guests. It was very on brand for her to decide that she was going to do something dramatic with the costume change, and I was fully in support of this idea. We tried to brainstorm reveal ideas together, and she came up with one that was very risky, but as dramatic and sensational as Katie herself. She wanted me to accidentally spill wine all over her skirt and act panicked and horrified by my own clumsiness, while she'd act like she's very mad at me, and when the commotion it would cause is at its peak until she'll unsnap her tulle skirt and let it fall to reveal the inner reception dress. I was skeptical at first, but I finally agreed because this is a very Katie thing to do, and I didn't want to stifle her dramaticism. The day of her wedding came by, and the moment of the costume change arrived. I spilled the wine on her skirt. It wasn't a lot, but it was a substantial amount. As predicted, there was a hurried commotion to help out the bride, and we did our part with the acting. People were convinced, and I'd assumed Katie wouldn't drag out the acting a bit more than a few seconds. But she seemed intent on fully selling the act, so I started to worry and touched the buckle on the back to tell her she should remove it now. Which she did, but it was too late. A good amount of wine had already seeped through and stained the dress. It was a cringy moment, to be honest, since the reveal was a total fail, and to make things worse, the groom's friends started laughing at her and Katie was very upset. I tried to console her the best I can and even mentioned this would be a funny story for family dinners in my maid of honor speech, and I honestly thought that she'd gotten over it since she had fun that night. But 2 weeks later, Katie is still mad at me. I thought we talked it out before she left for her honeymoon, but nope. She's still mad and wants an apology. I told her this was essentially her fault, not mine, and won't be taking responsibility for it since this was her idea and her doing that caused the wine to seep through. She got frustrated with me and said I was being a horrible friend, and apparently all of Katie's family agreed. So now I'm confused if I'm the asshole or not.
Am I the asshole for telling the stepfather who raised me that he's not my dad when he didn't treat me like his son? My mom married my stepfather when I was only 1. He had a 1-year-old son, and then they had a daughter a year later together. My stepbrother and I are 16 now and our half-sister is 14. Stepfather is the only father figure I know and I've always called him dad. My actual dad is not in my life. Growing up I always noticed that he treated me differently. He never mistreated me, but he was always more interested in his own children than me. In fact, he always showed very little interest in me. I've always felt like a second-class family member. My mom treats my stepbrother exactly like me, but stepfather doesn't do the same for me. Anyway, this last couple of years have been difficult because stepfather started doing stuff with my siblings, like going on trips, going fishing or hiking, father-children bonding moments as he calls it. And he's never taken me with them despite me asking to go. Initially he always said maybe next time until I called him out last week and he took me aside and explained that this is for him and his children. I'm not his child like they are. He said he loves me but it's different. He can't dilute the experience by bringing me as well, but he said my mom can spend some mother-child moments with me and my sister if she wants to as well. And that it would be good for us to have that only for us. This conversation happened on Friday before they went off for a weekend trip. My mom told me that this is how he feels. She can't change it, but she's made sure I'm always treated equally when it comes to money, which is true, but she can't change the way he feels, so I need to accept it. I've been thinking all weekend and it was clear to me that when he doesn't see me as his son, it's wrong of me to see him as my dad. So I decided that if I'm this, am I the asshole for losing it on my husband for lying about an emergency to get me to leave my brother's wedding early? My husband has been sick for a few days. He got sick around the time of my brother's wedding. I took care of him 24 hours for days. He's on meds and can move and go to the bathroom and eat on his own. I told him I was going to my brother's wedding and he threw a fit saying I couldn't leave him Alan while he's sick. I told him he was not that sick, it's just some stomachache that he's getting treatment for, and suggested he call his sister to come stay with him. He said no and told me to miss it. I got upset and bluntly said no and that he could survive for a few hours while I attend the wedding. He sulked, and as I was leaving, he said he hoped I won't ever come back. It hurt my feelings, but I know he was just mad and didn't mean it. At the wedding, I got a text from him saying he lost balance and fell off the stairs and hurt his back. He said he was in a lot of pain, he threw up and couldn't move, and insisted I get home ASAP. I freaked out and started calling his phone, but he didn't answer. I thought he must have passed out, and I freaked out even more. I got in my car and drove back to our house immediately. When I got home, I rushed towards the stairs while calling out his name, but he wasn't there. I started to really freak out. I rushed into the bedroom and found him in. Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my niece and leaving her with a stranger instead? I, F24, am an aunt to my 1-year-old niece Ava. My sister and brother-in-law live close to me, so I babysit for them sometimes. They don't pay me, but I'm happy to do it anyway. On Friday was their anniversary and they asked me 3 weeks in advance if I could babysit. I provisionally agreed because I had nothing else planned. My plans changed, however, when some of my old college friends told me they were stopping by my town on Friday. I haven't seen them in nearly 3 years and really wanted to see them. I gave my sister 5 days notice that I could no longer babysit on Friday, and that she should make other arrangements. She didn't respond to the text, but she read it, so I assumed it was okay. On Friday, however, sister stopped by my house with Ava. I was confused and asked why she was here. She told me she was leaving Ava with me as originally planned. I said again I was busy. She replied that family is more important than my silly college friends and I should step up to my responsibility as an aunt. Before I could protest, she bolted back to the car where Bill was and they drove off, leaving Ava with me. I tried to call her after she left, but she had her phone off and none of my calls went through. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't leave Ava alone, but I also didn't want to cancel my plans. There's no other family members who live near me, however I do. Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my niece and leaving her with a stranger instead? I didn't know what to do. I couldn't leave Ava alone, but I also didn't want to cancel my plans. There's no other family members who live near me, however I do have a friend, Jade, who lives near. She is good with kids and does babysitting as a side hustle. I called her and explained the situation, even offering to pay her to look after Ava, but she was understanding and said she'd do it for free. I thanked her profusely and dropped Ava off. I texted my sister to say I'd left Ava with Jade and to collect her from her house. It's relevant to the story that neither sister nor Ava know Jade personally. My sister didn't respond immediately, but after about 2 hours she started spamming my phone. I turned my phone off, as I was already out by that point anyway. They picked up Ava later that evening and she was perfectly happy. However, my sister and brother-in-law are furious at me for dumping Ava with a stranger. Even though they know Jade is a trusted friend of mine, they accused me of endangering my own niece. Many other family members have sided with them and I've been getting angry texts all weekend. I really don't know what to think. I felt like I acted as best I could given the circumstances. Am I the asshole? Today I effed up by showing my girlfriend my actual strength. Standard, this did not happen today. Actually a few years back. So, when my then girlfriend and I started dating, I discovered early on that she can be quite physical. In the sense that she likes to push, hold, punch even. Bear in mind she is not actually trying to hurt me, she is just playful like that. I found this both adorable and fun, so I played along. And here is the F up. If she pushed me, I would act like I had to balance myself, or if the bed/sofa was nearby I would fall onto it. If she held me, I would pretend that it was difficult for me to get out of her grip. If I pushed her and she resisted, I would pretend it was hard work, same with me holding her arms, etc. You get the idea. I always assumed she knew I was playing along and not actually physically straining myself to compete with her strength. This went on for months. One day, we were chilling on the sofa, watching a show when I realized I was running late to meet some friends. I told her I need to shower and make a move. She decided this was a good time for a playfight. She sat on top of me to pin my arms under her knees. I played along and struggled to move her off me. A little more wrestling took place. Then I told her I really need to make a move. She was not done and continued to hold/push me back onto the sofa. Eventually I decided I need to win this little fight and get going. So, I got her onto her back, held her hands near her head and leant down to kiss her on the cheeks a few times and let her know again that I am running late. She tried to move her arms and could not. Whilst struggling she grunted out, "Why are you so strong today?" I laughed, F up number 2, and looked at her like she was joking. Her eyes went wide with comprehension and she stopped struggling. "You are always this strong?" she asked, almost to herself. "Come on babe, You did not really think we are of equal strength, did you? I replied. I then went to take a shower, got ready, and as I was heading out the door, I noticed that she might have been a little glum. Me, being fully aware that I do not fully comprehend the mystery of female emotions, had no clue why she was upset. I did what all men do, I guessed. I gave her a kiss and said I won't be gone for long and that I can pick up her favorite Chinese on the way back.
Am I the asshole for showing up to my ex's house after our daughter sent me a concerning message? My ex and I split when our daughter 13 was about 2 and have always had split custody 50-50. My ex remarried when our daughter was 5 and now has 2 younger kids. Her husband also has a son our daughter's age. I pay for a phone for her so she can keep in contact with both of us. She's smart with it and it's never been an issue before. When she's at her mom's, she texts me quite a bit. She has cats here that she wants to be updated on mostly. Anyway, I dropped her off at school on Monday and her mom picked her up as usual. She texted me on and off through school and once more when she was picked up, but I didn't hear from her again that day. It was strange. She always messages me before bed, but I brushed it off. She's grown up. She'll stop texting me goodnight one day. On Tuesday, no messages again, so I shoot a text to her mom who doesn't reply. After school, I finally get a text from my daughter, which literally reads, "Daddy, help." That's it, no response after I messaged her back. Obviously, I'm thinking 101 things. Am I the asshole for giving my mother-in-law a fake copy of my house key and exposing her on Christmas dinner? I want to preface this by saying that I, female 34, married my husband, male 37, a year ago. His mom is Snoopy and annoying as fuck. She can't help it that this is just how she is, as my dear in-laws say. My husband and I purchased a new house recently. My mother-in-law kept pushing to get an emergency key. She promised that she would only use it in an emergency, but given the fact that she had an emergency key to our old apartment and just walked in on us being intimate twice. But my husband didn't think it was a big deal. I just couldn't trust her, so I just sent her a fake key after she kept pushing, and she had a smug on her face after I hand-delivered it to her. Days gone by, and on Christmas dinner, mother-in-law angrily called me out on the fact that I gave her a fake copy of the house key. She shamed me for doing this in front of everyone, but in my defense, I asked her how she found out,